Then I will introduce this.
Sure, 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 sure.
We'll put that.
Okay.
So, just first make my one. Just
I have this. Oh, okay.
Podium అది వస్తుందా అది రిసీవ్ అదే అనుకుంటా.
ఆన్లైన్లో రిసీవ్
ఓకే ఓకే ఇస్తుంది సార్
ఇవి మీ పాయింట్లు సార్
Ah,
ఇవి లేజర్
సెట్ అవుతుందా
ఇది ఫ్రంట్ బ్యాక్
okay,
పెడితే నాకు వచ్చి ఒకసారి ట్రై చేసి చూడండి రైట్
okay. All right. Thank you. It's all good.
సౌండ్ లేదు సార్
Yeah. So we have delegates, we have participants, members from FABA, also students. So it's a great pleasure to invite you all for this talk by Dr. Srinivas. So he is the founder and CEO of Karyon Bio, which is actually a US-based company in the state of California. And they also have a branch in Bangalore. So the talk, as you can see, AI, bioinformatics, and the future of healthcare, innovations and opportunities. So we all know how AI, artificial intelligence, is becoming all pervasive and then
రెడీగా
sort of engulfing all domains of including science and technology. So the innovations that can happen in terms of healthcare, providing healthcare industry, healthcare research, whether it's academia or industry. So how AI is going to impact or has already impacted. So that is what we are going to hear from Srinivas. So it is my pleasure to welcome today's speaker, Dr. Srinivas. So I will leave the stage for Dr. Jagdish to introduce about FABA. Some of the students may not know what FABA stands for and what it has been doing in terms of connecting people, the industry and academic people in terms of pharmaceutical industry, pharmaceutical innovation. So just to tell you that Professor Redana has been spearheading this FABA you know, agency or whatever you can say, the system. So he has been the fact as a professor here, he always used to bring people from outside to connect industry to academic people. So he has been instrumental in uplifting School of Life Sciences in that area. So even after superannuation, he's been relentlessly working, connecting people from industry and academia. Usually, classically speaking, industry used to be separate and then academic institutions used to be separate. They have to live on their own words. People like Professor Redana has been bridging the gap. So what is good in terms of basic science, how it could be uplifted to a product level, how industry can rope in at what stage. So such contributions have been by Professor Redana. So I welcome Professor Redana Garu also on behalf of the department. So and also other delegates from FABA, I welcome them. So now I leave to Dr. Jagdish to introduce about the FABA and also about the speaker.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you for hosting us here today. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. How are you all? After lunch, it's difficult to come to seminars, right? I also feel very drowsy. Very good. So, My name is Dr. Jagdish Gandla. So I'm representing Federation of Asian Biotech Association. Uh, may I know how many of you are students here, MScs or MTechs? Very good. You all know what is your career path afterwards? Yeah, PhDs or jobs abroad, India. There are many doubts. Or startups. Who wants to start startup? So these are the questions, we would like to question ourselves at FABA as well. And let's say, especially in the life science industry, I mean, there are many students who pass out from colleges, but unfortunately, they do not know what is their career path. And we at FABA, we try to help them out, in terms of getting jobs, in terms of soft skill development, in terms of helping them to connect to the industry. So that is one area which is hard. Let's say our passion to help out students. We also work with startups. We help startups, Indian biotech companies mainly. If you know, uh, there are many startup substrates in the bionest. Like that in India, there are around 7,000 to 8,000 biotech companies that have sprouted from BioTech, so Department of Biotechnology. But the problem with startups from BioTech is that they're all initially helped either 10 lakhs or 50 lakhs grants, but afterwards they don't have any ecosystem here. They got to get funding, so that's where we also help them out. So students, startups, governments, institutes, companies, anything under the umbrella of life sciences, we try to play a role there, especially in the connecting industry and academia. That is our goal. So for you, like whenever you need something, you can count on us. It could be, building your CV or it could be getting a job for you. So you can always reach us out. That is a little bit of how it started 21 years back. Many of you might be knowing BioAsia, an event that is a flagship event that is now Telangana is pride of Telangana government. So it was started by FABA in 2003. So that's a history. But future, it's all about you. Like what if you want to have jobs, if you want to start startups, if you want to get anything, even research, we are here to help because that's the only role, the only thing that we do. Anyway, so now let's coming back to the speaker. So we are very fortunate that Dr. Srinivas is here. So Dr. Srinivas will be talking about artificial intelligence, bioinformatics, the future of healthcare innovations and opportunities. I mean, do you all have you all heard about DeepSeek recently? Right? Not DeepSeek, DeepSeek. Somebody was writing deep seek is making me deep sick because they were investing in Nvidia and they want to do something. So there's enormous. I mean, every day there is something or the other is happening. Whatever work we are doing, right? It's like the like making presentations. It's like previously used to sit one day to make presentation. Now it's all few seconds. There is an app called Gamma that app. You just give one prompt, it gives you presentation in let's say 10 to 15 seconds with pictures and everything. It does more beautiful slides than you. So whatever works we are doing, everything is nowadays becoming automated, and that's where the huge data and artificial intelligence is coming. And the same with healthcare as well. There's so many things that we do as diagnostics or anything, it will be replaced by AI. So to talk about that, Srinivas is here, Mr. Srinivas. So I'll give a brief intro, sir. Srinivas is the founder and CEO of Karyon Bio, where he focuses on developing non-invasive diagnostic tools and identifying novel biomarkers for metabolic disorders, particularly fatty liver disease. Do you all know about fatty liver disease? Yeah, it's getting really popular nowadays. I think most of us will have grade 1 fatty liver disease because we are all eating gobi manchuria outside, noodles outside. Welcome to fatty liver. So that's what is causing fatty liver. And Srinivas' vision for improving early stage detection has driven the company's strategic collaboration with hospitals, genome institutes, and research organizations, enabling comprehensive clinical and multi-omics data sets to propel discovery. With a strong background in biomedical engineering and computer science, Srinivas brings a unique interdisciplinary expertise to the biotech and healthcare technology sectors. His extensive career spans strategic alignment, technical product leadership, and AI-driven solutions across industries, including biomedical diagnostics, cloud-based video processing, and connected devices. Srinivas is known for mentorship, strategic collaboration, and fostering innovation in cross-functional teams. His expertise in graph attention networks, knowledge graphs, and variational autoencoders plays a crucial role in Karyon Bio's mission to integrate heterogeneous datasets for more accurate and explainable diagnostic, diagnostic models. With a deep passion for translational medicine and AI-powered healthcare solutions, Srinivas continues to drive scientific discovery and business growth, ensuring that Karyon Bio remains at the forefront of personalized medicine and early disease detection. Through global partnerships and interdisciplinary teamwork, he is committed to revolutionizing healthcare delivery and enhancing patient outcomes with next generation diagnostic technologies. Srinivas sir, please come on to the stage. Also off the stage, he also worked with many other film industries and everything. So he's bringing really interdisciplinary work to the healthcare. Sir. Sir.
తీసుకో.
సరే. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Jagdish, for this wonderful introduction. Um, First, I want to thank Professor Redana and um, Professor Nagarajam and the wonderful institute you have here. Um, most of my time I've spent in the United States, probably much more than most of you. Probably most of you are born. I probably went to US much before you were born, maybe. Um, so, so I'm seeing tremendous progress here, and as I hear from the professors and the PhDs that I got to speak today, I really feel the conviction that I had a year back. Is it possible to India to put on the map of global leadership on research and solutions that can now, now or in the future lead, lead the world in terms of our capabilities that we truly deserve? So that's the question I think we are all trying to answer here. But again, I don't think that's an easy question to answer. But if you can see, one of the fundamental things that you see in the Bay Area and you see in the companies based out of the United States, the 50% of the companies have somebody like you or me leading um, at the top level or at the middle management level or at the R&Ds. So, so what I'm trying to say here is, without one of us as Indians, there is no global research, there's no global technology companies. There is practically not much is going to happen in this world. If we all Indians decide and say, I'm not going to work for a month, the world will stop working. So that's phenomenally great, So what I'm going to, even though my presentation will have a lot of slides, but what I'm trying to focus here is, if I were you, what would I do? How would I prepare myself for the next 10, 20, 30 years? That's a crystal ball still, but at least for the next few years, in terms of whatever you're studying right now, you're doing that. But what else would you need to be prepared into the future that we can see, And as we all know, AI is going to be the thing for you. I think that's so much more crucial. The next 3 to 5 years is such an evolving period in AI. So which also means that it's a great time for you to get into the AI. It's a great time for you to understand and assimilate that along with your core skills, if it is not your core skill. So that's what I'm going to give you some thought of a roadmap of how to go about that, based on some things that I understand from Silicon Valley, some things that I experimented myself too. So I hope that can be something that can be a good takeaway for you all. Okay, let's. Okay, yeah, I think this is one slide. I'm sure. Yeah, one other fact that I want to tell is, you guys are all working focused on your bioinformatics and your computational biology and stuff. So I'm going to stay away from some of those areas, but going to concentrate more on the roadmap side. So if you look at it, the opportunities in bioinformatics itself. In genomics, you have plenty of opportunities in proteomics, drug discovery, and if you look at personalized medicine, which is pretty much what I think is what we are going to work in terms of fatty liver disease. Be it initially we are trying to work on the early detection of the fatty liver disease. Um, One of the reasons early detection is very important is um, it is reversible, meaning with your lifestyle changes um, and uh, you know basically with lifestyle changes you could do it. Probably if we have medicine that will also work, but right now we really don't have anything of that sort. But if you're looking at personalized medicine, uh, uh, sorry, precision medicine and personalized medicine, the idea is to figure out the extent of the fatty liver disease, because for each one of us, it depends on the lifestyle, the hereditary part, um, and any other drugs or anything else that you have taken. So based on individuals' um, makeup, the idea is to provide the drug delivery and the kind of drugs you want to give to that extent. And I think that's going to be one of the key areas that we will focus on later. But right now, we are focused on the diagnostics part. Okay. Yeah. So one of the things that you can see here is the prediction, the integration, um, the genetic reconstruction part. So you have many areas where in bioinformatics, you might want to take up your opportunities in. But however, I'm going to concentrate less on that, but more on the roadmap as we go through. But I just wanted to have it so that when we have this presentation for takeaway, you can take a look at these. Okay. Um, so one of the, I wanted to have a growth of this bioinformatics market, even though it says it's about 42%. I believe it could be even much more, because the kind of changes that you're going to see at the integration of AI and biology are so much more changing by the day. But it is a great field to be in. It's an area where a lot of solutions are going to be found. Okay, so here is where I'm going to talk more on the AI side, where um, if you look at the last few years, you know, you can see the hockey stick growth in terms of the um, generative models and the vision models that you can see. How many of you have heard of the word transformers? Okay, that's pretty good. That's the one that's causing the revolution in terms of the generative AI for right now. I'd like to get some water maybe. Yeah, so if you look at it here, this is a slightly older one, but you can see the evolution of models. And if you really want to take a look at anything you need in terms of models, can somebody name a place that you can go to check on the models, the AI models for today? If I want to find out, you're absolutely right. So one of the first places that we want to get familiarized is the Hugging Face. And it is the Google of the AI models. And you can get to know the variations of each model. They're probably, the last time I saw, it was about 1.3, but today it might be closer to 2 million models. Why are this that many models, even though we talk about the top 10 models here? Because people have taken it, morphed it, modified it, fine-tuned it, and created their own models to suit their own needs. So it's a fantastic place to start in terms of getting yourself acquainted in the AI area. And also, there is generative AI and transformers are more to do with the language part of it. And vision is another important area that that the recent progress have been made in terms of looking at a picture and telling what's happening in the picture, or giving an instruction to create a picture so that the AI can understand and create. So meaning, you know, you're not in just the language mode, but also in the vision mode. So vision transformers are something I think getting familiarized with them is an important thing. But coming back a little bit, just wanted to show you what the opportunities for you are in terms of these two areas. Okay, yeah. How many of you have seen that one? Attention is all you need. Okay. This is the paper that actually caused the AI revolution for all of us in this last the 2017 article from Google. But you know, look at it. Google has written this phenomenal article, but who is the one who's taken it to the ultimate level to create a chat GPT? It's OpenAI that has done it. Now Google itself is struggling to catch up with that. So uh, so I think one of the things that I would request you to focus on is to understand, you know again, I'm not here to ask you to divert from your core focus and go on in depth on the transformers, but understand how attention works is a very important and interesting fact. There is so many lectures and so many good things on YouTube, or even in your chat GPT you can type and understand attention, because I think um, the more you understand the deep neural network layers, and in terms of um, and in terms of how the attention works, and how you know the contextual relationships between different words exist in the generative AI word is an important thing. So that's one area I think you should be getting some knowledge about. And entering into the multimodal models, for example, I'm sure some of you are already working on it, but if I take the liver problem that we do have multi-omics data that we look into. We do have imaging from, MRI and ultrasound. We do have the clinical data. We do have the socioeconomic data and the lifestyle data. These are all the important things that we need to look at to understand how the disease progression is happening. But all these, some data is longitudinal data, some data is high dimensional data like your omics data, some data is a picture data. How do you now make sense of this multimodal data, and how do you want to interpret that? And that is where our focus is on. And I think that's where at least a lot of companies are focusing on um, in terms of making sense of um, in terms of making sense of the disease progression. So our work is to where it shows the after the interconnection between all these modalities is where it is. But I'm going to show you a little bit further how we arrived at that, or we how we go about that. So here is a kind of higher level view of how this architecture works. Here is where you can see the multi-omics there, the transcriptomics and the proteomics, and rest of the data. And then you have the EHR and other stuff, and the computer vision to interpret the mm, you know so some of the things in terms of vision is that there's models that are so sophisticated now that you can have a shot in terms of detecting and classifying a certain um, disease and identifying what's happening there. So, uh, so, 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 so we are using um, our own foundation models, fine tuning the computer vision existing models to understand these, to interpret the images from ultrasound and MRI. Um, so that's at a higher level. Here is another concept that I think um, that I think is going to be important in terms of how to put the how to make LLMs um, work with your own personalized data, or your research data that you have. So we are working on a hepatobot where we are um, where we are getting about 40,000 PubMed articles and also other databases to be, using this RAG model to in a basic way to create embeddings and to find the relevance of it, and then at a higher level, um, you know, constructing the prompts to get to query the LLM and get the answers. So you can do several options to that. You can add your cache, you can keep. Okay. Oh, okay, got it. Yeah, you can, yeah, constructing prompts and having cache. So there's tremendous amount of tools that are available, vector databases, you know and of course the embedding things provided by OpenAI or Hugging Face you can use, and definitely a lot of structured and unstructured data can be used. This there's flow wise, for some of you who just want to try it in 1 hour, there's non-programmatic platforms that can connect you, make these connections in an easier manner to try it out. So getting familiarized with RAG is one of the most easier and important things in terms of the research that you might want to be undertaking. I also want to give you a little bit of idea on the um, I don't know if we can call it the overall environment, but also basically in terms of what is the lay of the land and what are the things that you would want to understand in the lay of the land, in the vocabulary and in the conversations of AI. Definitely, you want to try out some of the AI models, either be it on Hugging Face or either be it on your own laptop too. Right now, these days you have models that are, you know, almost 1 gig, very small compared to the 4 or 5 gig models that are, that have like 8 billion parameters and stuff. Now you have one or 1.5 billion parameters. So trying out these models, one of the first things I think one can do is there's a tool called Olama, How many of you have used Olama? So it is the simplest tool that you could install it in 2 minutes and start using any of these models that I put there or any of the latest models right on your laptop. And it can and write your own queries and find your own answers. And then use Flowise to connect your own documents right there and to come up with your own personalized answers, So this so what I'm kind of focusing on is experimentation is the key here to learn your AI, and just have the time to focus on that. Um, and of course, you have the closed models like the OpenAI, but also understanding that even some of the biggest companies like the Meta is creating models that are open source, even though the weights are not open source, but at least the models are open sourced, and you can download it and use it on your computer if if you want to keep it to yourself. One of the next things that I want you to really understand is, the programming part. Um, I was talking to Nagarajam professor today, and we were in a conversation as to figuring out how do you go about learning a new language or programming from the area of your strength. And what professor told me is very interesting. I understand proteins, and I'd like to see uh, what a co-pilot would do when you ask it to do some work on protein, that I can pretty much read it in Python. So there's amazing platforms that are available. Collab is the almost a giveaway. So one of the things, whether you are a programmer or not, you should try Collab. You should take one program from Hugging Face and try it out, and or a RAG, program to try it out. So it'll give you an idea of how things work, and it's phenomenally easy to try it. So for us, we are using Lightning as a platform because it does help us share among our distributed teams. Maybe in a little while, I'll give you an idea of how we are working in our own company. But RunPod is another platform. Of course, some of the platforms are not free. So, but again, we all know that GPU is not a cheap thing. But right now, you know, uh, at least we have access to Collab that you can use it. Uh, you know, uh, if you are in the programming world, some of the things that you might be already using are the IDEs like the VS Code and Collab that I just talked about, or Jupyter Notebook. And also understanding Python, or writing a program in Python, if you are not a Python programmer, is still possible with several um, free tools that are available in terms of writing a program, if you can give the prompting correctly, or if you can try prompting. Prompting is something in your generation, that's your language of the future. That's something you really have to learn and really, really have to experiment, be it in terms of programming, be it in terms of, sometimes you want to analyze a complicated paper that is not in your area, but you really want to know what's going on. So having good prompting in terms of the way you want to look at it, and the way it can, for example, AI model is released, and I want to know how that can help my liver research. It's going to be very tough for me to totally understand that and apply it to the liver area. But using the prompting, you can basically get to a point where the relationships do exist and where the strengths lie. So So that's one thing, even though maybe it's not there, but I really want you to try those areas. Yeah. And of course, Python is a language that you all will have to probably learn or understand or use the interpreter, the chat GPT for you to tell you what the program is doing. But again, learning this is not going to be that difficult the way things are. And, yeah. But however, the more depth you want to go, then you would certainly want to look at PyTorch and TensorFlow. But I think the de facto standard right now that's becoming is the PyTorch. So it has put a good abstraction layer over the matrix multiplications and the matrix calculations that happen inside the neural networks, and gives you a very easy abstraction to do it. But again, if you're not programming oriented, it's still okay. But understanding how things work is going to be fairly important. Yeah. In the RAG area, there's a couple of tools that I think one must get aware about. One is the lang chain, the other one is the llama index. It's not here, but yeah. So these are the two tools that are fairly easy, and there's a lot of information available as to how to use them to integrate external information along with LLMs, and especially if you are, doing your own custom research and you have your 20 papers or 30 papers that you wanted to go through. Yeah, and in all this, you will need the vector databases. There's various vector databases that are available, like the Redis and Pinecone, and most of them provide you for free for quite some time, unless you really want to use a whole lot more. Data preparation is something, even though we just have CVAD there, but I think there are companies now surviving on data preparation itself, particularly in the area of multiomics. There's a lot of normalization and cleanup that is required before you can even do anything with these high dimensional data. So yeah, understanding data preparation is one of the key things, no matter what you're going to do in your bioinformatics area. And I'm sure many of you are already working on it. Yeah. Yeah, maybe vision libraries are something you might need or you might not need, but they're so easy to understand. If you go to RoboFlow's website, you should be able to, they have even a workflow without you understanding how to do a segmentation or, or anything you want in terms of vision, say like a segmentation, you should be able to do easily. And OpenCV is also a very easy language to understand and use. And of course, they're all in Python. Yeah. So one of the challenging things is to make LLM fine-tuned to your need in terms of training it, in terms of making it understand the problem that you want to solve. And the challenge is that it is a challenge to truly understand how to tune the hyperparameters, what's k, q, v, and what is gradient descent, and several complicated stuff. But again, I think there are tools to help you so that you don't have to, um, you know, um, understand a whole lot of things, because there's so many of us that want to fine tune it. So Unsloth is one great tool that all of you should get familiarized with. It's not very difficult to uh, get your feet with Unsloth in terms of fine tuning. So that's an area I really want some of you to try it. what if we want to have access to a half dozen um, LLMs, switching one to another. There's LLM management tools like LM Studio. Web UI is slightly more complicated, but LM Studio is very easy to install on your laptop and just point your, just like how you point your database at the back end, you just can point towards the particular model, and you can start using it. Yeah. Another thing in RAG that I want you all to try is the Flowwise. Flowwise is one great way of getting familiarized in a non-programmatic way before you can go to the programmatic way. Yeah. Yeah. So, uh, uh, and of course, understanding GPUs and what NVIDIA is doing is going to be a key part of it. Even though now we are not um, we're not directly going to be using the NVIDIA at any in your programming stuff. It's a hardware layer right much below your work. But understanding CUDA would be important if you seriously want to program in PyTorch and you want to design your own deep neural network, and you have your own data and you want to create your own foundation model. So that would be important. Yeah. I think we talked about prompt engineering. Um, this, AlphaFold has broken, so many myths about protein design. And one of the things that make us look the protein the way they exist and the folds and everything um, uh, is through the stability AI and kind of diffusion technologies that can make us visualize stuff. So in terms of if you're doing protein work, and I'm sure you'd be using one of these stable diffusion or stability AI, some of these products that you can use to show picturize what you want to do. Yeah, the last one is probably the first place you would want to start is Olama, LM Studio, and Hugging Face. Three places that you want to go to truly build your knowledge on that on the models. Well, yeah, this is kind of a very high level view of the same stuff. Yeah. So coming back to, you know, how you go about in terms of getting your feet in this, I've kind of thrown here, there, some of these facts, but the most important fact is that you put your time and treat learning as your daily goal in terms of improving yourself, not just in your core area, but out there using these tools to try it out. Because most of them don't take a whole lot of your time, but they give you tremendous insights in terms of how you can use this, how you can use this in your own research or in thinking and solving bigger problems that you might come across later. So building your own self is going to be a key part, and allocating that time and having that interest is going to be important. Yeah. So let me give you an idea about what we are doing here at Karyon Bio, and and then that might give you some more insight, and then I can take some questions if you have. Yeah. We are a 8 months old company. Uh, Half of us are in the United States and half of the team is in India. And one of the uh, first goals that we have is the early detection of fatty liver disease. And fatty liver disease is a silent disease. So most of us, some of us might have it, but we don't know that we even have it. So the idea is to figure out at a primary doctor's level or at a level that mm, or at a or when you have your regular routine blood test done at that level, being able to detect that somebody has a fatty liver is what we are trying to aim at. So the problems that we have been working on so far is figuring out biomarkers using the NCBI data and multiomics in terms of transcriptomics, metabolites, and proteomics. So these are three areas that we are working on. We do have some potential biomarkers so far, but again, finding biomarkers is sometimes easily said than done. Yeah, so meaning validation of anything that you do is such an important part of research. So we've created this hepatobot where we can mine a lot of literature that can easily validate the biomarkers that we think are potential biomarkers. So that's what we're working on. And the second part we're working on is the imaging part, where we have taken the ultrasound images and in a zero shot mode trying to figure out what's the level of the fatty liver disease that they have, whether it's in the NASH mode or HCC or in the fatty liver mode. Ultrasound, it's kind of tough to do that because ultrasound doesn't have a good penetration for the patients with fatty liver disease, because one of the comorbidities is overweight, and therefore, that can be an obstruction for the fatty liver disease. So that's that's from the imaging part what we have done. Yeah, and so the next steps, what we are thinking is we are trying to work with some of the renowned companies in biobanks in India. One is Sapien Bio, and for the multi-omics data, we have MedGenome. So we're partnered with them, and we're trying to see how we can get more Indian data to figure out how the disease is different in Andhra Pradesh or Telangana versus in Bengal, because the disease can change based on the food habits and the socioeconomic conditions and the genetics too. So this can be of a great asset for us. So that's one factor we're working on. I think that covers pretty much what I wanted to convey. I'm open for questions if you have any.
Are there any questions? Yeah, as far as fatty liver is concerned, I think USG we have a gold standard that has, like, we can determine fatty liver based on USG. What kind of, like, what is the motivation behind finding any metabolic or any other kind of biomarkers? Like, what else would you detect when USG can determine whether the liver has grade 1, grade 2, the importance in doing this?
What's the importance of using metabolomics data?
Yeah. What else? Because these are all further invasive techniques. You need to or maybe pay costly to do that. When USG can determine
Right.
that you're doing other.
Got it. Very good question. Very good question. So the idea is that we want to build a digital liver. The idea is to build that knowledge by providing as much as many dimensions of data in the genomics area to this. So the great part about this, um, the self attention and the cross attention in transformers is that it can relate one area of data that you give to interpret as to what happens in the other areas too. And therefore we want to build that knowledge by providing various amounts of knowledge, just like how, whether we use social studies or not, we still study social studies so that it might be useful someday, right? So that's what it is. Yeah, so this is the bottom line.
So,
So, where does your much of the investment go into? Be it computing or it's a data that you acquire, or it's a data preparation. So,
Good question. um this I think in three major areas that go to, you know the most important thing an organization needs to have is competent people. So you really have to have good talent um, to look at the problem, to decide the approach. Because, say for example, you take this approach, you might lose 3 months, but you take this approach, you might gain 3 months, provided you might have all the computing power. You know, look at the DeepSeek example. So approach is very important part. So therefore, the people are the most important part. But again, when you are a startup, we are only an 8, 9 months old startup. When you are that young, how are you going to have the best minds work? Because this is a multi-domain problem. You're not working in one domain. In one domain, you can find people with knowledge. But how are you going to find 6 domains then at the same level talking to one another so that you can understand one another's language? Because one domain is talking is like Chinese talking to a Japanese person, that much of difference. So it's a multi-domain. So having these people was the single most difficult challenge. I'll tell you in terms of the challenges, not in terms of cost also, but of course, but having those people as a small company is a big challenge. But if you go to our website, you'll find we do have multi-domain talent that are really helping us out in terms of these conversations. So that's number one. Number two is data preparation definitely takes a lot of time, especially the multi-omics area. Data preparation is not that easy, so that you come to a point where you can then use your machine learning algorithms and stuff like that. So in fact, we have become so good at it that we want to then convert it into our own product or solution so that we can then give it to somebody else to get it used too, because we don't want companies to spend another 3 months or 6 months reinventing the wheel. So that's one part. Definitely, the whole world is GPU poor. Unless you are OpenAI or you are Meta or somebody, none of the rest of the world has. So, but again, that's where I think the innovation from all of us comes, is that just like how DeepSeek has shown that you don't need the high powered GPUs to solve some of the problems. Even the best models can come at with the GPUs that are at a lower level. So almost half the fastest ones that OpenAI can get to use. So therefore, this is a great boost for the Indian innovation, that we should not take anybody's no for an answer. If we want to take on a task, we should take on the task, even if we think we know less. But we should have the ability to then gather, team, and that's what startup is about, right? And you're not going to have one thing, but you're going to figure as you go through. Yeah.
so next, so What are the regulatory guidelines you need to pass in order to put your work as a product? Can you name some guidelines of regulatory frameworks?
The FDA is the 900-pound gorilla. Or rather, it is it is the main thing, and it is the right thing, because somebody needs to test, or else we would have product, you know, every now and then, and it would be very dangerous to the humankind, right? So FDA is considered the gold standard in terms of biomarkers research and validation and the diagnostics part that we are going to release. If it takes us probably right now we think it's going to take another 1 year or 14 months for us to come up with this mm, the biomarkers that we can call them as unique, but then it'll take almost a year for us to get the FDA approval, and there are a lot of hoops and there's lots of stuff that we have to work to do that. And if you have the FDA approval, you pretty much have the world's approval there. I'm not really, I'm sure India has its own standards, and so does every country. Yeah, so if we can get FDA, I'm sure we should be able to get for India's too.
So, some last question. So for GPU computation, do you use the cloud platforms or you have like your own servers or some collaboration, universities or companies like that?
Very, very good question. When you're a small company, we have a NVIDIA's Jetson Nano that costs about 300 to $350. We have used that also sometimes, and we have used NVIDIA's higher level Jetsons too, that cost $1,000. But the problem with that is our team is a global team. If I keep this one computer, how many people can access it and how much can you use it? It can be used for a single edge device or for one person, right? So the idea is to have a cloud-based platform for sure, and you need a good development environment so people can um, learn and share and can interface with GitHub. So one such platform is the Lightning AI. We have really done a lot of research on that, and we figured Lightning AI is a great platform to do that. And again, when you're a small company, when you're a small company, you're like India, but asking for the moon. But we do want the moon. We all want the moon. So how you negotiate with big companies to come down to get you to work, and how do you convince that your research is the important thing that they should be collaborating with, because that would make a difference for them too, that they're collaborating on solving a big problem, right? So it all depends on how you present your story too. So we were very fortunate to get a Lightning AI for all of us for just almost peanuts. So we got lucky there. But again, when you choose big battles, people do understand, people do want to collaborate. There's a lot of academic institutions that want to collaborate. See, I'm here. Professor Redana thought it would be worthwhile, you know, to have um, to have us here, because we think you are the talent that will drive the future of Karyon or the future of the startups in this world. So it does matter, yeah.
Yeah. So that's final question. So your work is to make the doctors and clinicians' job easy, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing that doctors and fear that AI will replace their jobs or something like that. So when you work this much hard and you make your product, and how are you going to convince these doctors that this is the solution plan? Yeah.
Sure. You have all the startup material inside you. Okay. So, yeah, it's a very good question. Um, we want to, the product, the diagnostics that we are going to create, that's all what we want to do. We don't want, so the answer is slightly different. I'll tell you how it works. It is, so you create the diagnostics, and then you license your diagnostics to an existing diagnostic company because you don't want to go into the marketing business because uh, the the Vijay Diagnostics here or the Apollo Diagnostics here, they will use our software or our PCR or one of those things that will detect these biomarkers. So you're really not in competition with them, with the doctors, and then so that's how you would integrate with the existing system, and you don't. But to answer your questions, everybody's jobs are at a risk, including the doctor's jobs, because if I have certain symptoms and I can talk to an AI, why would I want to go to a doctor? So the replacement will come in a way that you and I won't even believe how that's happening, and it'll happen like a thunderbolt. So in my view, that's where it is. But again, not all questions can be answered by AI, and not all things can be. And ultimately, your professor said these are all the two tools human beings will use to put themselves at a higher position and make them to work for us. So we will have phenomenal doctors using phenomenal AI. Let me put it that way then.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks.
Yeah. Sure. Sure.
Sense. So what is the essential qualification that you look for getting to a biotech industry, particularly in India or as a whole? What are the basic qualifications that they
Okay. That's um, let me give you an idea about what kind of people we have. Let me give you an answer of how we went about, so you get an idea of how it works. Um, the most important thing is, if you say you're good at something, you better be good at that thing. That's the most important factor, because we have mm, we have some of us who are purely bioinformatics people working on the problem, but we have also taken people who have graduated from other areas and taught them certain, because their tendency was, um, they to solve the problems, in that area. And also, we have people who are doctors trying to help us in the business area. So we have different kind of people. But again, in terms of the domain knowledge, for example, in genetics, and in terms of pharmacy, we have people in drug discovery, 20 years experience. Um, it's a good thing in terms of they understand the process and the validation and things of that nature. But first thing, if I am 22 years old and I want a job, the first thing I would need is flexibility, meaning learn the way I've talked about, not just your core area, but be accommodative in terms of knowing what's happening in the AI world and how you can connect some of those things to your core skills and articulate that in your resume, articulate that in your interview. Okay. And also be in an area where it really fires you up, because startups are looking for people with a lot of energy, people who can say no to anyone, and not accept certain things, and willing to prove certain things are right or wrong. That's you know mm, one of the things I've done in the last 9 months is I probably interviewed 1,000 people, so I kind of have a sense of how people think and how people work. So what attracted me more is people's self-interest in terms of how they invested to know the overall scope of things, and not just in the specialized area, even though specialized area is important. So I hope some idea. Yeah.
So I have a question here.
Sir. Yeah.
Yeah, so going back to the digital divide.
Uh-huh.
So we are planning to come up with digital levers which are population based, because if you are actually integrating or using multi-omics data, so they're all vary as population varies.
Correct.
So, for
Correct.
example, within India, culturally,
We-
genetically, we are all quite diverse. In
True.
fact, when we look at discussions with doctors, so what I understood was within India, the incidence of this fatty liver disease, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, is vary across
Correct.
regions.
Correct.
Most probably, the most incidences happen in the northeastern region,
Correct.
especially if you visit hospital here, AAG. So most of the patients are actually from that region. So there seems to be some link, with respect to the genetic makeup of individuals vis-a-vis the incidence of this fatty liver disease.
Right.
And also, of course, to overlay, there is also their social, setup, their food habits, etc., also there. So, how are you actually integrating? Are you tying up with hospitals? Because integrating clinical record is also very important if you wish to generate, a digital liver with high sensitivity and specificity.
For that population, for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So do you have because I didn't see any in any of the slides reference
Yeah.
to that. So do you have any roadmap for such?
Yeah, I didn't want
You
to
have
talk
to-
about. Sure, I don't want to talk about our carry-on so much, but that's $1 million question right there.
Yeah.
So, and that's a very difficult challenge. Now expand this to the whole world. That's going to be phenomenally more, right? Um, so I was just talking to Dr. Redden, and yesterday I had a meeting with Sapien Biosciences, and they have access to 73 hospitals throughout India. So, and we are going to be working with the data that they are going to provide, where it's going to be categorized by these things. But also, we should not give the whole algorithm the control of deciding it. You should have the specialists also put the weights in the deep neural network so that you know certain things are going to be biased and certain things have to be considered in a certain way. We haven't got till that point, but I think the idea is to have that kind of intelligence, that the food and the background and of people where they come from should be taken care of. So it's a metabolic problems are the most difficult problems to crack. There's nothing straightforward about metabolic problem, because you can have fatty liver all life and nothing can happen to you. You can have a very normal life. But some of us suddenly can go to MASH condition and you really would have a fibrotic liver, and so how do you now decide which one would go which way?
Yeah, it is a multifactorial.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
As mentioned earlier about the accessing data from different hospitals and different clinical centers regarding the hepatic liver. Are they actually collecting the information relevant to every patient comes in, visit them, and are they being promptly entered some databases? And what is like the quality of data you have? Uh,
So very, very, that's our whole research is dependent on your question. Meaning, we don't get the right data, then we are screwed. So the thing is, Sapien, for example, I'll talk about Sapien Biosciences. You know, they have spent about 14 years collecting data. their data is probably the has the highest integrity, number one. Number two is I met the team that collects the data and that does the how do they store it, how do they validate it, how do they junk it if it doesn't meet, and how much uh, they say apparently 15 to 20% data goes waste because it didn't meet their quality standards. And then you got to follow anonymity and other rules. You got to have consent, the same rules that Western societies are applying for data, they are applying it here too. That's phenomenal to run an organization and collect the data in that manner. So I'm really proud of the great organizations that we're already having in place. You know, so uh, so I'm really hoping that our work with them will yield some good results.
Thank you. I think Dr. Momita asked a very interesting question about the students' placement, right? Maybe Professor Redana also to answer it because he has been helping thousands of students in getting career skills. So, yeah, I think Dr. Srinivas has put the right way. Whatever the discipline that you are working on, be the best in your core domain and be open to also see what is happening around and whatever the skills that are required, obtain them and then use in your own field. That is very important. I think it rightly have pointed out. So no discipline is unimportant. Every discipline is important, but we need to gain the expertise that. But if you go to the interview and then they ask you in your core domain, if you are not able to answer, then you are gone out. So that is the most critical point, I think, to keep in mind. And every discipline is important now in this area. Multi-domain expertise is required for a company.
True.
And he needs to recruit in the different disciplines. Whoever is the best in that particular discipline, and then put all of them at one place to solve a problem. So that's the thing. Uh, Let me also thank Srinivas for the excellent presentation, specifically for you in the computational biology and systems biology. I think so. The, I see a large number of apps which we have not heard any time in basic biology. I think you are the experts who have been exposed to variety of these topics and all have to be integrated into and to address the various problems in biology. I hope you are the most sought after the students, in this era of AI is. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Maybe I will also add my 2 cents into that question because I've been interacting with CEOs of big pharma companies. I'll give one example. Like one CEO of a CRO told me that in China there is a company called Wuxi, and they have 20,000 chemists who are scientists. So they do day in day out innovation. But in India, if you combine all the CROs, there are only 2,000 scientists. So in China, one company has 20,000 scientists. In India, combinedly, all the companies has only 2,000. So he built a big building and told me, look, I'm unable to place scientists here. There's no talent in it. So he gave a very blunt question. I told like, sir, what about University of Hyderabad, NIPERS and everything? They say like nobody knows how to think. They all can think like generics, copycat and everything. Nobody knows how to really innovatively think. So one blunt thing, so it told like how our system is, how we are. I think now with the advent of AI or anything, with such kind of exposures, you all should know how to think. Once you know how to think, everything will come to you. And also look at a couple of innovations that are happening. So I was in Goa last week. It's all about cell and gene therapy, mRNA, circular RNA. And if you are an expert, jobs are looking for you. Unfortunately, there are not that many experts in India or elsewhere in the world. If you are really, really an expert in this field, even you know how to write reviews or how to be expert in this field by reading, you are sought out. And I have seen a couple of examples within my own eyes where few people in IIT Hyderabad, University of Hyderabad, they were passionate about subject. and they used to write on LinkedIn, and their jobs were looking for them. So I think a couple of pointers that I would like to say is that with my own experience, I saw that if you know how to think, you'll get job, and also you should make yourself visible. LinkedIn is a powerful tool. Make yourself appear into different places, like follow right people, write on LinkedIn, produce content. It could be small videos, small posts, anything that you are passionate, make it visible. If possible, make a website. So if you can make all this happen, jobs will keep looking for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Naidana. Thank you, Faba. Thank you, Jagdish. It is, had a fantastic day here, and thank you all for showing up. And we are hiring. So if you want to look us in LinkedIn, you will see that there is one job post that I know that we already have. And just as Jagdish said, you can live on LinkedIn. You will learn a lot of it. You will know what to learn and how to learn too. So fantastic, Thank you.
May I request Redana sir and Nagarajam sir to give a memento to Srinivas?
Mushroom rock.
Yeah, it is known. It is very famous and attached. It is present in the University of Hyderabad campus.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, awesome.
So you will remember this first as long as
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I'm I'm very honored. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. May I invite Dr. Momita Sahare to give vote of thanks?
Thank you, Dr. Jagdish. I sincerely thank Sir Redana for inviting Mr. Srinivas to share with us various aspects of industry jobs and mostly in AI and machine learning based jobs. I also thank our head of the department, Professor Nagarajara, for hosting this seminar. And I thank all the faculty members and the fields, Pharma, and most importantly, our students. I hope got some solution and you will apply to various companies and you get internship opportunities. All the best to our students. Thank you. Yeah. So also Pharma has arranged for a high tea that is from our side. Please enjoy that. Thank you.